soluble bases, and because most of the chemical reactions take place only in aqueous solutions or water solutions. In this class, we will study only the water soluble bases. And so when we talk about a base in this discussion, it will actually mean a water soluble basis or alkali. So whether we call it a base or an alkali, it will mean the same thing in this class. So what do all these bases have in common? All these bases have OH in common. All these bases have OH in common. That is hydroxyl ion or hydroxide ion. है ना? तो a base is a substance which dissolves in water to produce hydroxide ions. हाँ, तो ion से बोले ना? तो फिर? तो a base is a substance which dissolves in water to produce hydroxide ions or OH minus ions. So in solution, for example, sodium hydroxide is the biggest base because it dissolves in water to produce hydroxide ions along with sodium ions. So now look here. चलो हटान उसे क्या लेना NaOH when dissolves in water it forms sodium ion, Na plus ion and OH minus ions. So a sodium hydroxide solution and so its basic behavior due to the presence of, why so its basic behavior? It due to the presence of hydroxide ions. Similarly, potassium hydroxide is a base and dissolves in water to give hydroxide ions KOH, in dissolves in water to form potassium ions and OH ions. So it is the presence of hydroxide ions that the potassium hydroxide ion solution which imparts its basic properties. Magnesium hydroxide is also a base which dissolves in water to some extent to produce hydrogen ions analog with magnesium ions, and MgOH2 dissolves in water to form Mg2 plus and 2OH minus. So here KOH it dissolves in water to form K plus and OH minus, and sodium hydroxide dissolves in water to form NaOH plus and OH minus ions. So from the above discussion we conclude that a common property of all the bases is that they all produce hydroxide ions and they dissolve in water. So they all produce hydroxide ions when dissolved in water. Hydroxide ions OH minus ions, है ना? तो NaOH and KOH and Mg and ammonium hydroxide are all bases, and because they dissolve in water to produce hydroxide. NH4OH नहीं अभी लिखे थे, है ना? तो ये सब सारे फॉर्मूला लिख दीजिए. Please know that when the solution of a base is diluted by mixing more water, so when the base is diluted, so when more water is mixed into it, then the concentration of the hydroxide ions and per unit volume decreases. The number of hydroxide ions decreases.
Yes, sir.
है ना? So this gives us a dilute solution of the base or alkali. Bases are of two types, strong bases and weak bases. The bases are of two types, strong bases, and please remember, so when water is added to a base, then the concentration of OH negative ions decreases per unit volume.
Yes.
And we say that this gives us a dilute solution of the base. So then we get a dilute solution of the base. If the number of hydroxide ions decreases on adding water, then the per unit water there is a decrease in the hydroxide ions, OH negative ions, and we get dilute solution of the base. We get dilute solution of the base, and bases are of two types, strong bases and weak bases. A base which completely ionizes in water and thus produces a large amount of hydroxide ions is called a strong base. तो strong bases में कौन आया? दो ही हैं, हाँ, सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड एंड पोटेशियम हाइड्रोक्साइड, सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड एंड पोटेशियम हाइड्रोक्साइड. अच्छा, तो वीक बेसेस, बेस विच पार्शियली आयोनाइज, इसमें से पूरा हाइड्रोक्साइड आयन नहीं होगा, अलग नहीं होगा, पार्शियली मीन्स आंशिक तौर पर, है ना? तो जाना इनफ्रैक्शंस, नॉट कम्प्लीटली, नॉट फुल्ली होली. हाँ, मैं समझा. तो in water and thus produces a small amount of hydroxide ions is called a weak base. तो ammonium hydroxide अभी 5 पढ़ा था ना? 5 पढ़ा था ना. सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड weak bases हो गए, दो पोटेशियम और सोडियम.